Hey, it's Michael Saul, also known as Tiny, and this is the market video for the week of November 10th, 2014. Getting this out nice and early so you have plenty of time to study. Now, we're going to start with the Russell using the IWM, which is the ETF. And the Russell has been lagging for a while. It's been lagging the broad market. And right now, it is set up in what is known as a dynamite triangle. Okay, it is setting up right under key resistance. Dynamite triangle can also set up under key support, but in this case, it's under key resistance. And if it were to expand and get above this, it is suggestive that it, at a minimum, retests the high and probably breaks the high. Now, notice what I said, that if it breaks out and breaks this high, okay, just because it's coiled up here, just because we've had a nice V reversal in the market, including the Russell, this doesn't mean that it's going to break out. So what we want to do here is we want to watch, wait, and look for confirmation that not only are we breaking out of the coil, but we're also taking out this resistance on our way higher. But I think the Russell is set up here in the best looking pattern. That's why I wanted to start with it first here. Again, could it do this? Yes. Now, if it does decide to release to the downside here, doesn't mean that it's completely over for the upside. It means it could wind up forming a flag instead, or it could go down and maybe want to test some moving averages. So it can go either way here. It's not just because the pattern looks beautiful when you draw it like this, it doesn't mean it has to break that way. All right, so keep your eye on the Russell. We are in the seasonal period where the Russell, where the small caps rather tend to outperform the large caps. So, this is that seasonal period, and we want to watch this here to see if that is going to occur here, and if the Russell is going to start taking a leadership position. So from here, we'll go to the mid caps, and you see the mid caps are pretty close to trying for the highs. Could it be a possible triple top? Yes. Could it be a head and shoulders? No, because the left shoulder is not lower than the head. I mean, I hear some people calling it a head and shoulders. I don't see it that way. Okay, here's the Dow at new highs, very stretched here. And that's why, even though this looks like a beautiful pattern, I mean, the Dow, and you'll see it on the S&P and the NASDAQ too, they're so stretched that I wouldn't be surprised if we pulled back first. But you can see here the Dow is very stretched, very tough to enter new long side positions, at least for me, when we are this stretched. I mean, what are we here? Just doing a quick, guerrilla math here. You can see what are we, 2%, a little bit less than 2% stretch just from the 10-day moving average. I mean, you could see the Dow usually, and indexes in general, and stocks in general, they like to hug the short-term moving averages, because all the short-term moving averages do is smooth out the data, right? It's not magic, right? It's just math. So, it's pretty stretched here. It's been stretched the whole way up here. I mean, to me, I'm looking for a pullback or a pause here. I am not looking to get shorted, but I am looking for a pause before we move higher. Here's the S&P 500, new all-time highs, narrow range candle on Friday. Again, I'm looking for a pause or a pullback here. Qs, all right, the Qs are actually pausing here, giving the short-term moving average a chance to catch up. I think that the NASDAQ will go to new all-time highs. I don't think they get there this year. I mean, from here, that's still about a 20% move. Yeah, less than a 20% move now. So what is it, 18%? I don't know. Whatever it is. It's still a nice little move from here. I don't think we go on a total power ramp job into the end of this year, but I do think the NASDAQ will be hitting new all-time highs sooner rather than later. Okay, and a lot of people said we'd never see him again in our lifetime, etc. I think it's going to happen. All right, no guarantee, obviously, that they will, but that's what the pattern looks like to me, the overall big pattern. All right, now let's look at some indexes. Semiconductors pulling back a little bit, but still look okay. Watch to see if support holds. Let's look at some stocks. Clad Tanker pulling back after hitting a new high. NVIDIA with a big engulfing pattern here. So usually after this, we have to wait and see for a little bit, see what sets up there. Maxim has been lagging, right? We highlighted this a few months ago. You see it rolled over. Now it's consolidating here. So we could see if it gets some confirmation, but you still have to get through the 200-day moving average above. Whoops, I have the wrong symbol. Here's Micron. It's more range bound than anything, but if it holds support, it could rotate and try to come up. And the big daddy Intel, yeah, I mean, this looks more like a channel here than a real strong pattern, but you know, we want to wait and see. Does it break down from here, or does it, you know, man up, as they say, and try to go higher? Banks. Yeah, I mean, banks are stretched as well. A little doji on Friday. Bank of America, I mean, looks good, but it's stretched. JP Morgan, looks like it wants to try for the highs. Citigroup, Bank of the same deal, stretched. Bank of New York. I see, I like this type of pattern where we're just above the moving averages and we're pausing. Now, again, it's doubtful that Bank of New York is going to go up if we do get a rest in the banking index or the overall market. But what you want to do is you want to recognize these types of setups so that if we do get a rest and if we do wind up pausing, that, you know, watch to see what Bank of New York does. Watch to see if Bank of New York gets a big pullback or continues to go sideways. Maybe the bank index corrects, and then when it decides to resume, you know, this is one that you want to be watching. All right, Zion, another one above the 200-day moving average, but looks like it needs a little work. And then Northern Trust into the 50-day moving average. See if that holds. Broker-dealer index extended here. Looks like it needs a rest. Goldman Sachs consolidating up here. All right, consolidating at the highs here. But again, like I said, if we do get an ease, or, you know, it's the wrong word to use. If we do get some softness and we do get a pullback, you know, I'm not expecting Goldman Sachs to buck the trend. I'm expecting Goldman Sachs to, you know, move with the market. So yeah, it looks like a nice pattern here. But if we, you know, get a little weakness, get a little rest, then just watch the 200. You know, watch the key moving averages. Sorry. Let's look at some glamour stocks here. Amazon. Yeah, I mean, maybe a high or low here. We do have a trend line that we want to watch to see if we get through, coming in about 304 or whatever it is, 303.75, whatever. Want to see if it can get through that. Apple, you know, consolidating up here. Looks like it may want to go higher. Looks like the Russell to me. Looks like, you know, what we saw with the NASDAQ. But again, it looks like Goldman Sachs. Looks like a similar pattern to Goldman Sachs. But again, to reiterate, if we see some softness in the market, watch the moving averages to come in for support. Google-licious, and I only look at Google just so I could say Google-licious. Could be a possible high or low, but it's above. So it's below all the moving averages. So it's really not good. This is really not a strong-looking chart here. All right, just keep your eye on it. But right now it doesn't look strong. So kind of wait and see. Somebody asked me about Ford and GM. So Ford is interesting because Ford had this nice push down, and now it is consolidating here. So what we want to do is we want to see what happens from this consolidation. Does it come out of this consolidation to the downside and continue, or does it poke out? And if it did poke out from here, we have the 50-day moving average above as potential resistance. General Motors looks a little different, but kind of the same, right? It's not as nice of a triangle as we saw, but overall, it's you know, kind of that similar pattern. See if it breaks down, or if it does push up. You got the 50-day. You could see the spinning top. What happened last time? It went up to the 50-day. Las Vegas Sands, yeah, pushed out to the downside. We were watching this last week. You know, right now it looks like it's not in a rush to go anywhere. But I want to see if this little bounce continues. What happens if we test the underbelly of this trend line or the key moving averages? Wynn Resorts. All right, broke down. Looks like it's consolidating here. Again, I want to see what does it do. Does it break down out of here? And if it does it retest the October lows? Caterpillar, 200-day moving average. We want to watch that. See if it can get a break above that or not. John Deere, nice push above with the expansion candle. and now it has one more candle above it. So I'd like to see a pause here, and then see if it can continue. Bonds. All right, fine. Broke down a little bit above this. Broke down below. Sorry, below this support, but you could see on Friday had a really nice day comparatively. Right, it didn't have this type of day, but it had a really nice day. So we want to see if this can continue to go to the upside here. That's bonds. Notes, just shy of the 50-day moving average. That turned. Gold, big day for gold on Friday. Had a couple of crappy days. The key is it going to get back above this neckline, for lack of a better word, right? And you got the monthly chart here. I like to run some fibs. I'm going to do it right here with y'all. All right, you can see. All right, we're below the 62%, so if we don't remount that, suggesting that it goes below 1,000. I mean, for those of you who have listened to my opinion either through my email or I know I've been telling it to a group that I'm coaching, I think gold is going to go low. I think gold is actually going to break below these lows. I think it's going to knock some people out. Paul Schatz, who, my partner at Winning Edge Trader and paulandsaul.com, he's looking for a higher low to be put in, and then he thinks gold launches, right? He doesn't, I haven't checked recently on it when he thinks it's going to happen, but and we're going to get the Sunday night strategy sessions going again, so you'll be able to ask him yourself. But, I think gold is going to, go below 800. I think it's going to go below these lows down here, which are 730, 590. I think it's going to knock some teeth in, especially, all the aggressive gold bugs that were just buying here, buying into the big climax move to the upside. I mean, but whatever, it's fine. There are a lot of opinions on gold. So, to me, right now, I don't think it's, after this kind of day, after short, but I am going to be watching for key strategic spots to look to get in, because I think it has lower to go, and I think it has a while to go lower, but I'm not going to guess at it. I leave that for the super guru. Silver, with a decent day, up 2%, but it's been getting cracked. I think silver's going to go below $10. That's my opinion. Like I said, I don't know if it goes there soon or it's going to take its time, but I think it breaks this. I think it breaks this low. All right. So, and you can see, this to me, with the nice, everybody rah, 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 again at $50, calling for silver to be $100 in 6 months, and then just boop, Crude oil is pausing, but I believe that's going lower as well. I know there's a mixed argument of if lower oil is good or bad for the economy. I don't know. I tend to be with the school of if gas costs less, people have more money to spend on other stuff. Okay, that's my school of thought, but I know opinions vary on that. Grains, wheat, rolling over a little bit, but if it holds a 50-day, maybe it'll be a little two-step correction. Corn and soybeans, right, look better. Okay, you could see, soybeans look like, hey, this is the start of maybe a micro uptrend. Comparatively, and it looks like it may want to continue and go higher, but of course you have to wait for confirmation. Okay, I know sometimes I'll get comments from people like, just tell me which way to go. Well, that's idiotic. Okay, you have to you have to observe what's going on in the market, and you have to wait for a lot of these markets to tip their hand. Okay, you don't just guess at it, but what you want to do is you want to prepare. You want to get, this point of view, that point of view, and this is what I feel. And then when you're confirmed, you have more confidence to take the position in that direction. Okay, how about the euro? Here's the euro versus the dollar. Okay, the dollar is still rallying here. We can run a fib here. Sorry, that's my 5-year-old. They discovered Phineas and Feb. My kids had off for 2 days because the teachers had a convention in Atlantic City. They have a convention every year in Atlantic City. My parents were both teachers growing up, and they never had a 2-day convention in Atlantic City. But anyway, in Jersey, they have a teachers convention, so the kids are off, and I had to find something for them to do except play on the tablet and play the Wii University that my 9-year-old got for his birthday last month. So We've introduced him to Phineas and Feb, I think is his name. Or I don't know, whatever it is. But I love that show. It's cartoons, yeah, and it's not the greatest thing. But, you know, I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So we got to find something they'll all watch. All right, anyway, the euro looks like it wants to. You guys are like, can you shut up and talk about the euro? You can see here, we want to test the July lows here. The July 2012 lows, since we're below the 78.6 of this last push up. We can also do one of these jammies, which is, I love these. This is how you map out an ABC, and that would target us going down to 1.1134. Okay, down here. That's what it would target. I'll move to down here, which would be, let's see, the lowest low since. Sorry, I'm taking longer than usually. It would be a really, maybe an all-time for the euro versus the dollar, right? Since the euro's come into existence. I mean, that's what this is favoring. If this is a little zigzag ABC. Now there are other patterns once you go out to the weekly and even the monthly. Right, you got this big triangle here. I mean, if that breaks and you measure the triangle, the euro is going to get slammed and the dollar is going to rally hard. You know, and that means gold will probably get slammed too, which backs up my my opinion, at least. But you could see here, I mean, this is whittling away. It doesn't mean it's going to break from here. Maybe it's going to bounce and break up. I don't know. Okay, but of course it's below the 78.6 of this swing, and I'm looking for it to go here, but doesn't mean it's going to have to. But this is a really nice pattern here. And when it breaks, there could be a really nice, strong, and long trending move that can come out of this. All right, let's look at the yen. And then I am 17 minutes in here. I apologize for the extra long video, but so here's the yen. There's a dollar versus the yen, actually. And you know, had the big week last week with the big day, and then this week it continued its upward trajectory. Okay, here's the yen versus the dollar, right? This is just an inverse of the dollar versus the yen. Obviously, this is how if you want to look yen versus the dollar, then you use the futures. So you can see here it looks oversold, just like the other way looks overbought. So probably going to pause here. But from there, you know, you want to look for continuation. All right, so let's recap. Extended on the broad market, S&P, the Dow. Okay, Russell, all coiled up. Looks like it's getting ready to move. And if it can break through basically the 118 barrier, looks like it's going to new highs. NASDAQ also consolidating. All right, even though the patterns look nice, I would not be surprised, because we are overbought. We have been overbought for a little bit, is that we pull back a little bit or we continue to pause. And then from there, then I would be looking to continue this move. I think that we have a very good shot to continue to rally, maybe not completely into the end of year, but for a good part of December, you know, into a good part of December as well. Could the NASDAQ hit all-time highs this year? It's possible. Right now, I don't think it's probable, but who knows? Maybe if there's a mad rush in, it could happen. I just think it's a pretty tall tale to be seen this year. Okay, so I'm waiting for a correction or a longer pause, and then I am, you know, for the moving averages, for the mean, whatever you want to call it, to catch up. And then I'm looking for continuation to the upside. Have a great week. You could contact me at tiny@stockmarkettrendsex.com if you have any questions or you want to inquire about one-on-one coaching with me. All right, have a great week. I will talk to you in next week's video or daily through the email.